Hello, my name is Ryan Rollins, and this is my persuasive speech about why we need to stop climate change. So, did you know that if the Earth exceeded 2 degrees Celsius of warming, we would lose 99% of coral reefs? At the current rate that our Earth is warming up, this limit will inevitably be hit. And unfortunately, us human beings, we are all part of the problem. And my credibility is that as a person who, yes, has dived in coral reefs and cares about the environment and the ocean and the future of the earth, we collectively as a society need to take action to stop the exponential growth of climate change and global warming. The reason we all need to be aware of this topic and ready to make change is because this is something that can affect our lifespan and future kids and their future kids. Climate change is something that's very serious, and it affects every living thing on planet Earth. Society needs to take action against global warming and climate change and commit to creating Earth a healthier and safer place to live. To cover the problem of global warming and climate change, I plan on going over 3 major topics, and that is going to be high levels of carbon emissions with global temperatures rising, rising sea levels, and disruption of ecosystems. To start off, I'd like to talk about the harm that carbon emissions take on our planet. So, we need to stop producing so much carbon emissions, and here's why. According to Sarah Fecht, the content manager of State of the Planet in 2021 for the Columbia Climate School, she states, as carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases heat up the planet, more water evaporates into the atmosphere, which in turn raises the temperature further. What she means by this is that this is a never-ending cycle if action is not taken. The more carbon dioxide that is resting in the environment, which is mainly caused by humans, the more the temperature rises and the Earth is harmfully affected. According to Catherine Hansen, a member of NASA's Earth Science News team, in an article written and published on October 17, 2010, she says the 25% non-condensing greenhouse gas component, which includes carbon dioxide, that is the key factor in sustaining Earth's greenhouse effect. By this accounting, carbon dioxide is responsible for 80% of the radiative forcing that sustains the Earth's greenhouse effect. To lower carbon emissions and make the environment safer, individuals can adopt several sustainable practices. Transitioning to renewable energy sources like solar and wind reduces reliance on fossil fuels, while also improving energy efficiency by using energy-saving appliances, and insulting homes can cut down on energy consumption. Reducing vehicle emissions through public transportation, carpooling, or choosing electric vehicles also plays a crucial role. Shifting to a more sustainable diet by eating less meat and supporting local organic agriculture can also reduce carbon footprint. Additionally, minimizing waste through reducing, reusing, and recycling helps lower emissions from production processes. Advocating for green policies and supporting conservation efforts, such as planting trees, can drive broader systematic changes and help sequester carbon from the atmosphere. These combined actions contribute significantly to reducing carbon emissions and fostering a healthier environment. Now that you've heard about how carbon emissions can affect the global temperature, that leads me on to my next point about the rising sea levels. According to NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, in an article published on January 4th, 2021, they state that sea level can rise by 2 different mechanisms with respect to climate change. First is the oceans warm up due to an increase in global temperature, seawater expands, and that takes up more space in the ocean basin and causing a rise in water level. The second mechanism is the melting of ice over land, which also adds water to the ocean. According to Janelle Knox Hayes, who is the Associate Professor of Economic Geography and Planning and also the head of the Environmental Policy and Planning Group, in an article published May 25th, 2021, she claims scientists warn that depending on how much sea levels continue to rise, certain islands and coastal cities could go underwater. This is especially concerning because over 10% of the world's population lives in coastal areas that are less than 10 meters, which is about 33 feet above sea level. meaning sea level rise could displace tens to hundreds of millions of people. Sea level rise also threatens to flood large areas in farmland countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Egypt, and make fresh water in some areas too salty to drink. To help stop sea levels from rising and make a positive impact, people can reduce their carbon emissions by using energy efficient appliances, driving less, and switching to renewable energy sources like wind and solar energy, covered last time. Supporting reforestation and conservation efforts such as planting trees and protecting coastal ecosystems like mangroves can absorb CO2 and act as natural buffers against sea level rise. Adopting sustainable practices such as reducing waste, recycling, and supporting sustainable agriculture also helps lower the carbon footprint. Additionally, promoting and advocating for policies that reduce emissions and protect the environment can lead to broader systemic changes. Increasing awareness and education about climate change impacts can inspire collective efforts and community action to mitigate its effects. After talking about the sea levels rising and the effect of carbon emissions on our atmosphere, I'd like to talk about my third and final point, and that is disruption of ecosystems. So, according to the EPA, also known as the Environmental Protection Agency, in an article published on June 17, 2024, they claim that climate controls how plants grow, how animals behave, and which organisms thrive, and how they all interact with the physical environment. As habitats experience different temperatures, precipitation patterns, and other changes, the organisms that make up the ecosystems feel the effects. So, with this information, humans are directly affecting the ecosystems through climate change, and our actions are harmful, and some of us don't even realize it. According to Science News, an independent journalism organization, in an article published on May 8th, 2019, they state that humans can still slow the loss of species, the researchers note. Conservation investments from 1996 to 2008 have already reduced the extinction risk for mammals and birds in 109 countries by 29%. But saving more species will require transformative changes in behavior, the report states, including how people consume energy, food, and water, and how they use land and technology. To address biodiversity loss in the context of climate change, humans can take several important actions. First, protecting and restoring habitats is crucial, as these areas provide refuge for species affected by shifting climate conditions. Combating climate change itself by reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to renewable energy sources, and adopting sustainable land use practices helps mitigate the effect of rising temperatures and altered weather patterns on biodiversity. Reducing pollution from chemicals and plastics also protect ecosystems, which are vulnerable to climate-induced stress. Additionally, sustainable agriculture and fishing practices can minimize habitat destruction and resource overexploitation, while managing invasive species that thrive in changing climates helps preserve nature or native biodiversity. Supporting conservation initiatives and advocating for policies that address climate change and its impacts on ecosystems further contribute to halting biodiversity loss. Raising public awareness about the link between climate change and biodiversity loss can drive collective action towards these goals. So, next time you feel the air getting warmer, or you notice your beach home is getting a little too close to the water and the fish in the ocean don't seem to be so abundant, remember that the actions that we as a society and the human being, animal per se, we all have a direct effect on climate change and how it affects our environment. So all in all, I've addressed climate change and the certain problems that come along with it, including carbon emissions and its effects on global temperature, sea levels rising, and their harmful effects, and the tragic loss of life in ecosystems. I want you and the rest of society to take action against climate change, and I encourage you to research how you can change the problems we cause and better your knowledge and make a difference. So remember, when the too hot to handle temperature or you feel like the air quality is a little bit funky, or swimming in the not so blue water in a not so populated ocean, our irresponsible actions are a direct correlation between climate change and its effects on our environment and Earth itself. Thank you. Go Bulls.